Welcome back. And the first one I want to discuss tonight on this specific show is Tiger Brands. I mean, this is a dog of the market. Can you remember that this share was trading well above 200 Rand? Well, that's not too far from here. That was in December 2021. The share was north of 200 Rand and everything took 100%. Suddenly the share is just going down and down and down and down, and everybody is just negative on the share. I mean, they make money, they've got plenty of cash, and I heard the other day they said that they maybe need to reshuffle and do some new things there. But for me, I'm as a technical analyst, I just say, let's use this little line here. And there's the line that I'm watching. And there's another little line here that I also want to draw in. There's a line. Now, this is a falling wedge. And a falling wedge, I know, eventually is going to trigger a relief rally. I don't know if that's going to change the future for Tiger Brands. What I can tell you is this little line, and there's the line at 141.76, turn into a support. Suddenly, this falling wedge will come into play, and it can maybe take the share back all the way to 150.68. The only thing that I know fundamentally about this share, whenever you go to the shops or your wife go to the shops, whatever they buy, they always buy a product of Tiger Brands. And remember, with food inflation, these guys will eventually have the opportunity to add some of that margin onto the consumer, because if you don't buy it, it will just stay on the shelf. So I like the chart, but I wanted to get above that resistance line. And where's my stop loss? My stop loss is at 135.80, and my target is 145.83, 148.49, and the target for the 150.37. Then that falling wedge would have reached its target. So let's see, maybe Tiger Brands can surprise us all, because this is at the moment the dog of the market, and we've seen over years that sometimes the dog of the market turns around to become the star of the market. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe it will give all of us a little bit of a bounce. Redbox Entertainment. I mean, this is a stock listed on the Nasdaq, and I mean, this stock is flying. If you look at Netflix, they're struggling, and all the other companies, they're in competition. But something is happening with Redbox. Redbox is moving up, and the only thing that I don't like is, look at this lamp pull formation. I think it was Susan that asked about it. Susan, if I see this sharp moves, you all know now that I'm always nervous. And for me, I think you may be too late to buy. And I will become very, very nervous if the share starts to go below $10. Below $10, I think the top is maybe in place for the short term, and it can maybe pull back even to this level of $8.50. So don't just rush in and buy it. I think it had a beautiful rally, unless you want to chase momentum. I've seen some of the momentum players last few months starting to struggle, and the reason being, remember, liquidity is drying up, the interest rate cycle is going up, and suddenly there's not all this money around anymore floating. You can just buy stocks. And I think some of the stocks are actually telling us that something is on the change. Water Global. And if I look at this chart, immediately my mind goes to that gold chart. And this chart is just telling us, just leave me alone for the moment. I'm busy trying to make up my mind. If you look at this chart, I mean, there's the resistance line. You cannot have a clearer resistance line than that. There you are, it's solid. And there's your support line. There's two nice pound pointers there. There's the support line. I mean, and this is now between 9 cents and 14 cents. So, Janet, unfortunately, I think if you want to buy Water Global, wait for this resistance line to turn into a support, and then you stick to this 9 cents stop loss of yours, because at the moment it looks like it's making up its mind. I mean, since November till now, that's almost 7 months now. It's absolutely doing nothing. So while it's doing that, you just need to wait as well, and don't rush it, and just wait for the stock to show you what's going to happen. Because before you know, the stock will give you the idea what it wants to do, especially with gold. I mean, we chatted about gold. I mean, for months, gold cannot make up its mind to go up or down. It's the same with Quest. water. The share is just stuck in a range. And what we know is when the range break, it's sometimes a sharp move. So be prepared, watch the stock, don't just leave it alone. Watch it on a daily basis or on a weekly. I think a weekly basis is maybe a little bit too late. I'll watch it on a daily basis. And the moment I see that it breaks there, you can add on to the position or you can buy it and then stick to your stop loss of 9 cents. And then you just play safe. Because where can it go to? I mean, my first target for this move will be 17 cents. And then above that, it can maybe go to 19 or even 20. For me, I always say that if a stock is consolidating, it wants to tell you that it's making up its mind. So why do you want to rush in and buy it? Just be patient and sit on your hands. Someone is asking about ProShares Nasdaq. Well, the code is quite simple. It's ProShares Ultra Pro 2QQ. This is now the kind of thing that you buy on a monthly basis. It's almost like an exchange traded fund where you can add on to the position. It's almost like S&P 500 that people asked about. And for me, again, I mean, the Nasdaq took a hammering like you can't believe. Now, let's have a look here. First of all, I'm seeing a falling wedge here. Usually we know that falling wedges will break to the upside, and we're right at the bottom there. So you will get a trader that say to themselves, listen, I'm going to buy right at the bottom of this level, and that will be at 21.90. Or you will get someone that say, no, I will wait and I will only buy it at 26.80. For me, with all the selling that we've seen, it's maybe better to buy it only above this 26.80. Because then you know that you're almost in line with it. Now, if you buy it above 26.80, make use of a stop loss of 21.44. My target for this falling wedge is 35.70. And of course, if you look at it, I just want to take you back. I mean, this chart is just telling you that it's almost falling off a cliff. And let's have a look at the weekly chart, because people that always buys it in this sort of fashion on accumulation, they usually buy for the long term. Now let's have a look at this chart. I mean, right at the top here, when the Nasdaq were flying, I asked myself, is there anything that can bring this chart back? I mean, can you believe it? I mean, we had a tiny little double top. It broke that resistance line. I can just show you there. There was the old resistance line that everybody was watching on a weekly chart. When it broke that, it was almost like falling off a cliff. And the reason being, I mean, the Nasdaq was just running for years. I think the other day I read that in 15 or 20 years, there was only 2 years that the Nasdaq returned negative returns. And the year after that, it was shining again. So unfortunately, on a weekly chart, I will just say, sit on your hands, wait. And my first sign will be above 33.42. But I gave you the levels if you're a short-term buyer or you want an entry level with a stop loss. But on the long term, only above 33.70, the chart will start to look nice for me. Let's have a look at JNS Holdings. Now, this is one of the companies also listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and I think this is almost like a punt. I mean, because it is almost zero. I don't know why you will buy it, but I mean, in a market like this, you know, I can remember when Bitcoin was many years ago. I think it was $1 or $2 or whatever the case may be, even below $2. I think there was a lot of guys that bought it. And the market just surprised everybody when it went up all the way to 66,000. So for me, I think to play safe here, instead of gambling, but I mean, you also get people that like to gamble. And I will say, with JNS Holdings only above 8 cents, it looks attractive. At the moment, I will not touch it because I think you'll buy it, and if you want to take a stop loss, it will be on zero. So for me personally, I think just sit on your hands and don't get involved with it. I think this is a gambling stock. Not that they do gambling, but it feels like it is a gambling stock. And I think everybody is waiting for this Bitcoin chart because, yes, there are plenty of people that wants to buy this. And I cannot believe it. Over the weekend, it fell to $17,000. And I think the big thing there was, I mean, it was just so many people, I think, that were long in the stock, and they thought that it's going to turn around, and it did not turn around, and it just fell to pieces. And I think we had almost a flash out. If you look at this chart, and remember, this is now a daily chart. And this is now for the bravehearts on the show that likes to watch the show. For me, let's look at the candles. This dragonfly candle there already told us that there were some buyers around here. And that was a few days ago. That was on the 15th of June. But then it started to bounce, and immediately there were some sellers coming in with this, almost you can say, teardrop candle. I call it a teardrop candle because some guys are horribly wrong and they just burst out in tears. Then you've got this doji and another dragonfly. Now we're starting to see a beautiful green bullish engulfing candle. And first of all, I'm not going to buy Bitcoin. And I think most of you will tell me, Frans, when it's $100,000, you will say to me, listen, you were stupid. I will say, okay, that's okay. But because I don't understand it, and at the moment, I cannot see that it can maybe go to 100,000, but we've seen it can go to 65,000. So for me, it's quite simple. If you want to take a chance on Bitcoin, because I can tell you now, it's a chance. For me, gold is backed by gold. Another company, Omnia or Renergen, they've got solid financials. They've got at least money in the bank. But Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin. But if this candle can close, and there's your level, if this candle can close above 21,020, and it starts to give us some nice moves to the upside, then I think Bitcoin is preparing itself for a nice relief rally. So yes, above 21,020, you can nibble on it, make use of a stop loss. Where's my stop loss? My stop loss is sitting at 19,588. And where's my targets? I mean 21,614, 22,300. And I can tell you now, if you want to see Bitcoin fly, if it gets above 23,300, this massive candle all the way up to 30,000 can maybe surprise you and take you quite a bit. So, well, visit our website www.fransdeklerk.com for more info, and we will chat again.